Hello and welcome. I'm Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell and I proudly represent the 13th District on the Los Angeles City Council. I'd like to welcome you to my 71st Councilmember in your corner. In this edition, we're highlighting some of the environmental policies I'm working on that will significantly reduce the city's dependency on fossil fuels and help clean up our environment. And I've got some great partners in this effort. In the city of Los Angeles, we have begun our transformative years into a carbon neutral future. In many ways, we're leading the nation in this imperative. I am proud and excited to be joined today by multiple city departments who will share with you important initiatives that are making our city a leader in environmental protection and restoration. Since taking office in 2013, I have made it a priority to go door to door in every neighborhood in the 13th District on a regular basis. It is more important now than ever to bring City Hall directly to your door, now virtually, offering services and introducing residents to the people in your city government and our partners who make things happen for you every day. I'm thankful to our city departments and Channel 35 studios for partnering with me to bring you this 13th District virtual council member in your corner. In today's edition, we're focused on taking good care of our environment, something my team and I are focused on, not just on Earth Day, but every day. My passion for the environment runs deep. From an early age, I was taught to have an appreciation for the natural world and exalt in the beauty of the great outdoors, placing a high value on flora and fauna in remote wildlife areas and right here at the urban core. I've been a champion for the Los Angeles River. One of the most beautiful parts of the river lies within the 13th District. Since my first day as council member, my team has been focused on maintaining a clean river and a healthy habitat around it. We even have a team through the Los Angeles Conservation Corps devoted to keeping the river environment clean on a regular basis. Earlier this year, I became the chair of the Energy, Climate Change, Environmental Justice, and River Committee on the Los Angeles City Council. We are all working collectively to advance policies that will ensure a safe and sustainable city for future generations. Here are some important policies and projects that are making Los Angeles more environmentally friendly. Let's start with the LA 100 study, a partnership between the City of Los Angeles and the NREL, or the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. LA 100 charts our path to getting to 100% renewable energy, a critical goal in securing a sustainable future. I am proud to have co-introduced a recent motion alongside my friend and colleague, Councilmember Paul Krikorian, furthering this policy with the aim of getting Los Angeles carbon neutral by 2035. I know that we as a city can do this. You'll hear more about LA 100 a bit later in the program. Last month, my committee that I presided over, a unanimous vote to recommend approval of an ordinance that will reduce our reliance on single-use disposable foodware items. This initiative builds on my plastic straws on request ordinance that we enacted back in 2019. I'm proud to report that this new foodware policy was approved by the full City Council. Beginning later this year, food and beverage facilities with more than 26 employees in Los Angeles will only be able to provide single-use foodware accessories to customers upon request, and all other food and beverage facilities will comply beginning on April 20th of 2022. This will benefit our environment and will also reduce costs for small businesses, which have already been struggling due to COVID-19. Across the country, small businesses pay billions of dollars per year on these items, and countless numbers of them end up in places like the LA River, where they remain for centuries. In addition to diverting harmful waste away from waterways like the river, as well as landfills, we must also work to reverse the normalization of massive foodware, plastic waste, and consumption. We can do this. This ordinance will set the stage for the eventual phase-out entirely of single-use plastics. For a truly sustainable future, that's where we must go. I'm also working to build a more sustainable Los Angeles through the work of all of our city departments. and not just with each other, but in partnership with private enterprise when possible. One of the city's most beloved institutions is the Los Angeles Zoo. The zoo has been a world leader in conservation and wildlife preservation. I recently introduced a motion that instructs the zoo, along with the Department of Water and Power and other departments, to report back on options for solar generation, battery storage, and the expansion of electric vehicle charging stations on site. The zoo and the LADWP will also look at options for public-private partnerships. A few of these partners are with me today to discuss these environmental initiatives and others. Joining us are Denise Verrett, Director of the Los Angeles Zoo and Botanical Gardens; Jason Rondow, Director of Resource Planning for Development and Programs at the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power; and Tracy Minamide, Chief Operating Officer of Los Angeles Sanitation and Environment. I've worked with these three now for a long time, many years, and we're in such good hands with these initiatives, and I couldn't be more proud and honored to have them join us today. Our first presenter, Denise Verrett, is the Director of the LA Zoo and Botanical Gardens. In addition to doing an amazing job running the zoo, Denise has devoted her career to serving the people of Los Angeles and has worked for the city, for you, for 30 years. A glass ceiling was shattered in 2019 when Denise was appointed and confirmed unanimously as the first Black woman to lead a zoo accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. I've had the great pleasure and honor of working with Denise for several years now. Under her leadership, the zoo's conservation and sustainability programs are thriving. Denise, I mentioned the motion introduced to implement solar energy generation, EV charging stations, and battery storage at the zoo. What more can you tell our viewers about what's happening at the zoo? And welcome, Denise. Good to see you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember O'Farrell. I'm so excited to be here and have the opportunity to speak with you and the community about the exciting things that are on the horizon for the Los Angeles Zoo. I'm going to share a presentation with you to go over this more in detail. So the Los Angeles Zoo is a champion for the environment, much like you are, and we appreciate your leadership. And it is so inspiring to see you in your new role as the chair of the Environment Committee in the Los Angeles City Council. Today, I'm going to briefly share about the zoo's commitment to creating connections to nature, our commitment to conservation and sustainability, which all go hand in hand with a very exciting project. The Los Angeles Zoo is committed to be an inclusive and welcoming space that embraces diversity, equity, and inclusion and access. We welcome over 1.8 million visitors annually, and they represent the diversity of this very beautiful city. We create opportunities for everyone to have a connection and a relationship with nature in our beautiful park-like setting, where you can see amazing animals that represent a variety of species, many of which are critically endangered. These experiences help to develop empathy and an understanding about the interconnectedness between humans and all living things that we share the planet with. It is through these experiences that we aim to transform our guest from the casual visitor to those who will be advocates and take action to protect the environment. As you mentioned, we have long been a leader in conserving and protecting wildlife. We are an example in our commitment to the California Condor Program, which is a global symbol of conservation success through captive breeding and reintroduction methods. We are replicating this same world-renowned program with the peninsular pronghorn, which is critically endangered and is located right here in the Baja Peninsula of California, as well as the Southern Mountain Yellow-Legged Frog program, which is right here in our own backyard in the San Gabriel Mountains. We are committed more today than ever to protecting wildlife globally and right here in our own backyards. We're going to be doing even more in the coming months as we release our strategic initiatives around conservation impact, and we look forward to sharing those details with you. We are equally committed to sustainability with a ban on lids and straws that goes back to the 1980s and equates to eliminating the use of 14.5 tons of plastic annually. We also deliver 150 tons of animal and green waste to the Griffith Park composting facility every year. In 2015, we partnered with the Department of Water and Power for the installation of electric vehicle charging stations, including a DC fast charging station, which is one of the most used in the region. We are proud of these initiatives and many others, but they alone are not enough. We can and we will do more. And through your leadership, there is a world-class innovative project located at the zoo that will further the city's commitment to clean energy. You introduced a motion which brought an incredible partnership together between us and the Department of Water and Power to create an incredible solar carport project in our north parking lot. This project is something that Angelenos can be proud of as we demonstrate our support of clean, green energy initiatives, which will also contribute to the zoo's resilience in our operations to support the care and the welfare of the animals that call the Los Angeles Zoo home. The amazing design captures our signature California condor as our conservation species and ambassador for protecting animals from going extinct. It will now serve as a symbol of our commitment to sustainability. This project gives us an opportunity to further message and amplify the importance of sustainability. If we want to have the greatest collective impact to protect the environment, we need everyone to understand, care, and know that they all have a role to play. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share what's going on at the Los Angeles Zoo, this incredible partnership and this project that is going to really put Los Angeles on the map in terms of its commitment to sustainability and green energy initiatives. I'd now like to turn it over to my colleague, Jason Roundu, to talk about the project in more specifics. Thank you.
Denise, thank you so much. And Jason, before you start, I love the design of the condor on the carport, the solar panel carport. And it also, that image shows us that the parking lot at the zoo is in the sun. So it's the perfect location. And plus, when people park there now, they'll be under the solar panels and in the shade. So they'll return to cooler cars. At the same time, we're generating all of this electricity. So it's fantastic. And as Denise mentioned, Jason's here. He's the Director of Resource and Planning for Development of Programs at the Department of Water and Power, the nation's largest publicly owned utility. Jason previously served the city at our Department of Transportation and has not one, but 2 master's degrees. And get this, one's from USC and the other's from UCLA. So Jason is the peacemaker here as well. So thanks for leading the way, Jason, on renewable energy and strategic planning. So let's hear about your partnership with the zoo and LA 100.
I appreciate that, Councilmember O'Farrell, and really excited to be sharing some of the great things that the city and LADWP has really been doing. And I think many folks realize this, but not everybody does. But LADWP is a municipally owned utility. It's part of the city family, and that really provides us an opportunity to have our leaders in the city really push us to accelerate our environmental policies, but also our partnerships with other city entities as well. And today's discussion is just a perfect example of both of those. So the first piece I want to discuss is the LA 100 study, which is really an unprecedented technical study. It takes a goal and says, we know that we want to get to 100% renewables, but how do we actually get there? What are the pieces that we need to put in place to get there? And it's not just unprecedented from its technical perspective. It really is also unprecedented from its engagement and its outreach and its transparency as well. We brought in, dozens of folks from the city, leaders across environmental spectrum, academia, and many, many others. And they really shaped this study. They took control of this and shaped it. It was a partnership with the National Renewable Lab, which is a part of the Federal Department of Energy. And it really looked at the spectrum of, not just how to get there, but what are the costs? And importantly, what does it mean for jobs? And what does it mean for environmental justice? And how can we make sure that all parts of this extraordinarily diverse city can benefit from this transition? So this study was completed back in March of this year. Many years of effort have gone into this. And really the study concluded, among many different things, that 100% is achievable. We can get there. We can also do it reliably and we can do it affordably. But it's going to take a whole lot of renewable resources. And LADWP is really fortunate in that we have significant transmission lines to bring in resources all into the city. But it can't be done with really large scale renewables alone. We need to do so much locally. We have to, no matter how we get to 100%, we have to partner with our sister city agencies. We need to partner with customers and make sure that we build significant renewable energy here within the city. And really, again, getting back to the significance and the importance of LADWP being a publicly owned utility, just recently in April, our goal was accelerated by a decade. So bringing us from 100% by 2045 all the way to 2035. And that is in large part due to the political leadership of this council and the mayor's office to really set these reach goals for the department and for the city. We haven't really had the luxury the last few years to just kind of wait. We have had to really continue down the path of decarbonizing. We've gotten to above 50%, 56% below our greenhouse gas emissions level, which is a requirement that we need to get. So we're way ahead of schedule in terms of overall carbon reduction. We're well over 50% clean energy as of last year, and we're really accelerating that. We've got over 1,000 megawatts of wind, 1,200 megawatts of large-scale solar, and we just recently signed one of the cheapest solar and storage projects in the entire world, which will be under construction soon. A rendering of that is here. But I mentioned earlier that we need to do so much locally. We have, I think it's been 6 out of the last 7 years, we've been recognized as the #1 city in the country for local solar. And a big part of that has to do with not just our rooftop solar programs, but with our feed and tariff program, where really large buildings can sell energy back to LADWP. We also expanded our community solar programs, recognizing that there really is not a one-size-fits-all solar program. We have, I mentioned, this is an extraordinarily diverse city, and not everybody has a rooftop to participate in solar programs. So we have virtual solar programs, and we've really expanded that portfolio as well. Now, shifting gears into a project that we are so excited about, and we're so thankful for the visionary leadership of Denise Ferret and the zoo. You saw this picture a moment ago. This is just when we began discussing this project with the zoo, we had our folks just so excited because there's so much potential here. This project will roughly double the size of any other solar project on a zoo in the country, and same thing for storage as well. So, you already saw this picture, this really symbolic piece of renewable energy that we are really excited to undertake. But we also want to couple this with energy storage. We have a location right near the zoo where we can install a significant amount of energy storage. And what this can mean for the zoo is, should the grid go down, should there be a temporary outage of power, this will be able to provide power for the zoo and ensure that their critical operations are maintained through that outage. And at the same time, we want to dramatically expand the electric vehicle resource at the zoo parking lot as well. So this is something that I mentioned is just a really such a flagship opportunity for us to really lead the way and just enhance the experience of the zoo and accelerate the decarbonization of the city. Just to give you some perspective, I'm going to just flip back to this image here. Down the street from the zoo, there's a Costco, and to give you an order of magnitude of how big this is, if Costco were to cover their roof with solar, it would probably be about 0.5 megawatt. This is about 6 times that size. So this is really, really huge. And it means that this would roughly power the equivalent of about 1,000 homes and would be the equivalent of reducing emissions of about 500 cars per year. So this is a really, really, really big deal. So shifting gears a little bit back to the LA 100 study. So I mentioned that study was completed back in March. We've been doing outreach to share those findings with folks, and I've got outreach sessions here You don't need to sort of memorize these dates because you can go to our website, ladwp.com/LA100, and you can find all the information there. Also, just wanted to share that if any of you want to get involved beyond providing feedback, we have local solar programs, electric vehicle programs, and great energy efficiency and discount rate programs. So again, just want to thank all of you for your leadership on this, and we're so excited to be a part of this partnership.
Jason, thank you so much. That's amazing, and I think you conveyed so well how beneficial it is to collaborate with other departments, and I think that is in our immediate future, and that is the standard, I think, moving forward if we're to reach that renewable energy goal in 14 years, actually less than 14 years now. Just to give you a little bit of context, that's really soon. So we have to work aggressively and think anew on all sorts of traditionally conventional thinking as it relates to power. So this is really great. Thank you so much. And speaking of collaboration, next we have LA Sanitation. LA San and the Environment is the lead agency for the city's environmental programs and initiatives. Sanitation protects public health through three main program areas: clean water, solid resources, and watershed protection. Joining us today is Chief Operating Officer Tracy Minamide, who is an expert on the three that I just mentioned. Tracy has served the city for over 30 years. She received her bachelor's degree from Cal Poly Pomona, her master's from Loyola Marymount, and a certification in executive management for state and local government from Harvard. Tracy is also the president of the California Association of Sanitation Agencies. So Tracy's a little busy, but she made time to join us today. So Tracy, thank you for your great work and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Councilman O'Farrell. It's very good to be here today and share all of the things that we are doing in LA Sanitation and Environment. So that we do so much in LA Sanitation and Environment. What I really wanted to focus on today was 4 core programs, many of which Councilman O'Farrell has been significantly involved in, and we have really appreciated his leadership. I want to talk a little bit about water quality in the LA River, talk about plastics policies, greenhouse gases, and waste to energy. So let's start with the LA River. Councilman O'Farrell mentioned how near and dear to his heart this is. The LA River is about 52 miles in its full length. About 11 miles is actually in the city of Los Angeles. What you see in the river during dry weather is urban runoff. So that's all of the water that, absent rain, is flowing through the storm drain system and into the river, as well as a large component, which is highly treated water from our water reclamation plants. We have our Tillman Water Reclamation Plant up in the San Fernando Valley and our Los Angeles Glendale Water Reclamation Plant in Councilman O'Farrell's office or at district. Mm-hmm. What we want to do and our responsibility is for us to ensure the water quality of the river. In sanitation, during the Memorial Day through September 30th season, we're out there monitoring the river water quality twice per week. And primarily, we're looking at coliform and bacteria concentrations to make sure that those levels are at an acceptable level so that the water can be enjoyed, as you see here, through activities such as kayaking. One of the new instruments that we just implemented last year is that of water quality beacons. And these beacons are located in 3 areas throughout the length of the river in LA. You can see from the picture a small light on the top there of the solar panel, which will indicate the quality of the water in the river, kind of an instantaneous rate. So when you see it as green, everybody who wants to go in the river and recreate, kayak, you know the water quality is good. When you see yellow, it's still good, but enter with caution. And when it's red, really it's saying, you know, quality is not good, you don't want to be in the river. Flashing red means that it's closed due to Mountains and River Conservancy protocols. So this is a new feature that we added, like I said, in the last couple of years, and it gives people wanting to get into the river a good indication of when the quality is at its best. Okay, now I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about Measure W, also known as the Safe Clean Water Program. This is a measure that was voted in by all of you residents across LA County in 2018. And what it does is provide a funding source, roughly in totality $300 million a year across the county for water quality and water supply improvement projects. In the city of Los Angeles, there's a local piece that comes directly to LA. This last fiscal year, $36 million. We're expecting to see around that much every year coming directly to the city for us to implement water quality improvement projects. There's also a regional program. This is more like a grant program where municipalities, nonprofits, and others can submit project proposals. And it goes through county regional committees to evaluate and then to select and determine which projects will actually get funding. So right now we are expected to receive approximately $50 million per year annually through this regional grant program. And I did want to mention also that the predecessor to the Safe Clean Water Program is Proposition O. And that was a proposition passed within the city of LA proper that approved $550 million for water quality projects. This is the Los Angeles Glendale Water Reclamation Plan, a rendering. Again, this is in Councilman O'Farrell's district. And at our plant here, we've got some great activities going on. This is a rendering of a project soon to be under construction, should be completed by 2025. Two big components. One is the LA Water Technology Center. And what that is it's going to be a demonstration of advanced treating wastewater to the highest level possible, such that that water can be used as part of the drinking water supply. So we're working very closely with the Department of Water and Power on projects across the city, this being a demonstration that are going to convert what was wastewater into advanced, highly treated water that can become part of the potable system. We are also featuring, we're calling it the LA Urban Waterway, and we're excited about this because this is a piece of property here, one of the very few that is actually riverfront adjacent. You can see the depiction of the LA River on the left side there. And the LA Urban Waterway is to celebrate water. It's to attract people to come to the plant, to enjoy the features and the views of the LA River, and just bring that level of attention and recognition to this great iconic piece that we have. Okay, so moving into plastic policies, the council member spoke about disposable foodware accessories, and we were very excited to work with Councilman O'Farrell and the ECHR committee to implement a foodware accessories ordinance. Basically, Councilman O'Farrell has just been a leader in this area, talking about how so much of what we receive is disposable utensils, or you see there the tomato ketchup packets, all of this not necessarily used when they're provided with the food items that people purchase. And so it becomes an unnecessary waste. You'll see here how they break down into small microplastics in that picture there, and really create a pollution problem. So this foodware accessories on request is an ordinance that passed in April. And these are the types of items here that are only provided through the restaurants if they are requested by the customers. So plastic utensils, condiment packets, disposable plastic drinking straws, napkins, cup lids, cup sleeves, beverage trays. All these items will effective November 15th for the larger establishments will only be provided if you ask for them. April 22nd, 2022, that's Earth Day in 2022, the smaller establishments will also be working under this ordinance. So source reduction, basically here, it's not making waste in the first place, right? Again, some of the other policies that have been implemented to help reduce the generation of pollution are the plastic straws on demand. Again, Councilman O'Farrell was a leader on that. Single-use plastic bag ban, styrofoam ban on city properties, and other activities to actually get to that source of pollution at the beginning before it even becomes trash. Okay, this slide is kind of busy, but basically it's a draft of what we are going to be introducing as new labels to put onto the city blue bins. So you all have in the city of LA your blue cards for recyclables. And so this is a new education campaign to focus on what you should put in the blue bin and what you shouldn't. So instead of saying at the top here, you'll see problematic plastics, and it's numbers 3, 4, 6, and 7. Okay, these are plastics. If you look closely on some of your items, you'll see those numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, these here, 3, 4, 6, and 7, are items that are not recyclable. In the facilities that we use now, these are pulled out and actually sent to landfills. So what we're telling people is, don't put those in your blue bin. Focus on these items here: papers, dry paper, cardboard, plastic bottles, tubes, jugs, aluminum. Of course, everyone knows about aluminum, tin, steel, and glass. Those are the items that you focus on in putting into your blue bin. Okay, so now moving into greenhouse gases. LA Sanitation has put forth a significant effort in the last few years to actually inventory greenhouse gas emissions so that we can figure out ways to reduce it, right? You have to know what you have first before you can actually move to reduce those emissions. So in 2017, we put out a report on municipal greenhouse gas emissions. So what that means is that we took an inventory of all the city facilities and calculated what our emissions were. So when you look at this now, you see that our emissions in 2017 were approximately 10.12 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalents. That is a 40% reduction in emissions compared to 2008 baseline. So it's good to see the work that we're doing, of which DWP and the zoo just had a great example, to reduce the amount of emissions coming from the city of Los Angeles. We also focused on community greenhouse gas and doing an inventory of that. Now, the difference is the first inventory that I spoke about was about city facilities and what city government was emitting in terms of greenhouse gases. This newer effort was looking across the city in all sectors, looking at what have we got within our community and giving us a baseline and a way of measuring the progress that we're making in moving forward with reductions. So in 2018, emissions were approximately 25.3 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalents. And it may sound like a big number, but it's actually a 24% reduction compared to our 1990 baseline emissions. So you really see that the city is making progress. A lot due to the community input and doing their part as well. Okay, and lastly, waste to energy. So just to kind of give you a frame of mind here and a context, LA generates over 10 million tons of solid waste a year. After recycling and diversion, about 3,300 tons of single-family black bin waste goes to our landfills every day. We have a commitment here to phase out urban landfilling. Our goal is to achieve a 90% diversion of materials from landfills by 2025. That's just a couple years away. By 2050, we want to be at 100%. So this is one of the ways that we work to get there, and that is waste to energy. We don't actually have a facility like this within the city of LA, but this is an iconic example of what can be done to have a multi-benefit project. One, first of all, that it will take black bin waste and actually convert it through a thermal recycling process to energy. So we're going to be creating electricity by going through this process. This site is located in Copenhagen. We'd all love to go there and actually see it in real life, but it's called Copper Hill. And advanced recycling is what happens within the realms of this facility itself. The daily throughput is about 1,200 tons per day. No air toxics are emitted, so there's a lot of controls of any kinds of emissions to minimize toxics, to the point where all you're seeing is water vapor. So you'll see steam coming out of the stacks here. I think you can see this, and it's just water vapor. Again, this is what generates electricity, and at the same time, you have this great attraction here as a rooftop ski slope, providing hiking and creating some natural habitat. So I'm going to end there. This is a good place to end as our last slide, just looking forward to the types of things that can be done to make the city more sustainable and more resilient. Thank you so much, Councilmember O'Farrell, again, for your leadership and being such an environmental champion.
Thank you, Tracy. That report, that presentation was so comprehensive, and you end with something that is a stunner. And I think you kind of lay out what we need to consider moving into the future and how we get there. So what an amazing presentation, and your work speaks for itself. I couldn't be happier with where we are on effectuating these advanced goals for a carbon neutral 2035 in Los Angeles. And as I said when I started this program, Earth Day can't just be one day a year where we have a community clean up and plant some trees. That's lovely, and we need to continue doing that. We need to do that every day as well. But we need to take action every day of the year so that we move our goals forward to that goal post of 2035 and LA 100 and 100% carbon neutral. And this is how we do it. So I can't thank you all enough. You are sort of my spirit guides on this, and I'm really honored to partner with you. And you all keep me informed on kind of like what makes sense policy-wise. So that's really the sausage making at LA City Hall, is it's a partnership. And I would be literally nowhere without the talent and intelligence of you and your colleagues in the various departments. So this is really terrific. And I hope anyone who watched this or is paying attention realizes what good hands we're in, and also learned a few things about how on a daily basis people can participate in moving this goal forward. It's not just us or the city or the departments, it's 4 million Angelinos moving forward so that we're all reaching toward that same goal. Because all this data that we just talked about translates into the following: cleaner air, less asthma, a lower need for pharmaceuticals, fewer health issues. Cleaner air means everything for a child on a playground somewhere or going for an urban hike. It is about quality of life, longevity, and a planet Earth that will be inhabitable for future generations. And we all take responsibility in that. And that's what this all translates to. So this is really good stuff, and I thank you. And with that, I think we can take some questions now, and we'll get to as many as we can.
Our first question comes from a Facebook post. Councilman, I'm really curious to hear from the DWP about how much energy conservation work is being considered in conjunction with these initiatives. Solar and other renewables are wonderful, but the more conservation done first, the less resources need to go to production.
Okay, so I think this one's for you, Jason. It's addressed to LADWP in terms of what role can conservation play and how can more Angelenos learn about what to do and really just practical pointers on conservation and how we can elevate that as part of our renewable energy goal.
Yeah, this question is not just a good question; it's an important one for the reason that was stated, which is producing new energy requires building new things, and there's associated greenhouse gas emissions along with that. One really, really important piece of the LA 100 study is we looked at life cycle emissions, and the result was we will need a significant amount of energy efficiency. So that absolutely will continue to be part of our future. Many of you that work in the world of energy efficiency probably have heard the phrase, the cheapest energy is the energy that we don't have to produce. And that's why energy efficiency is the number one thing that you lead with. Over the past decade, we've had probably the leading energy efficiency achievements and portfolio of any utility. And over the next decade, we are on track to double that. If anybody wants to participate in the existing energy efficiency programs, ladwp.com/energy efficiency. Or you can just navigate to it from our website. There's just a great portfolio of programs, no matter what type of living situation you're in. And the one piece that I want to add to this is it's about the environment too, but it's also about equity and environmental justice. As we transform our grid, there's going to be a cost associated with that. And we talked earlier about how diverse the city is. We need to make sure that the most vulnerable folks in the city have access to energy efficiency programs so that we can keep rates very, very low, as low as we possibly can. It also means jobs. Energy efficiency programs means significant amount of local jobs and good paying jobs. So really, that question is so important. So thank you for asking that.
Thank you so much, Jason. And I'm glad you mentioned equity because really our approach in city leadership is how do we accomplish these and literally leave no one behind. And we can't expect everyone to be able to apply their own personal resources into this. So I think if the pandemic taught us anything, it's where our deficiencies are as a society as it relates to equity and historically marginalized communities. So that's one of our driving factors in city leadership as well. So I'm really glad to hear you say that because we can do this. And it's the neighborhoods that have been traditionally neglected who suffer the effects of climate change the most. So we have to keep that in mind as well. So a really great response and a wonderful question. Thank you.
The next question is, the city's doing a lot to improve air quality, but what can I and any other person and resident do on a day-to-day level to do my part to improve air quality?
All right, another great question. What can we do individually to improve air quality in Los Angeles? Anyone who want to just lean in and take that? I have one. Get an electric car. Invest in an electric car, electric vehicle. That will help so much. It reduces particulates. It reduces exhaust. It's phenomenal. But please, anyone.
I was going to suggest, using public transportation and the regional transit options that we have available to us, and get out of your vehicle, which I know it's hard for Angelenos to do, but it's a lot more convenient than I believe a lot of people think it is. So that's something else you can do.
Public transit. And as a policymaker, we're working on more dash lines. We don't have one that serves my neighborhood. So I can either get on my bike or get in my car if I want to really go anywhere. So public transit, great suggestion, Denise. And there are other multitudes of things you can do. Next question.
Councilman, The LA Zoo DWP project is very exciting. Could you please elaborate how much power will be generated? And what will this mean for the city? Further, can we see more projects like this citywide?
Great question. The zoo partnership with LADWP on solar energy and battery storage, it's about 3 megawatts. Jason, it might be a little more than 3 megawatts, but basically that of energy, and then about 1 megawatt of storage, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe we'd like to target even about 2 megawatts, which I think would put us, about double any other, zoo project of its size. So yeah, it's going to be substantial, no doubt about it.
Of storage. So for me, the person who asked this question, the stakes are high because I want this to be so successful that I'm already working on being able to multiply this 15 times over. So I'm working with our Budget and Finance Chair, Mr. Paul Krikorian, on funding other projects that can accomplish the same thing in other parts of the city. And so we feel very hopeful about this. Multiply this times 15 and you're talking about real energy generation. That's instead of 1,000 households, that's 15,000 households. Then you're talking about real change. And the more successful these programs are, the more investment will come our way to do more of them. And then it'll just have that ripple effect. And change can come pretty quickly if you initiate things the right way, right? We'll learn from this, but with the expertise that's gone into the planning here, I feel very optimistic about its success.
And our last question. The goals of the LA 100 study are very ambitious. What is the plan to accomplish them? And could you please further elaborate?
Okay, LA 100 goals. Could we elaborate a little more? So, Jason, you want to take a crack at that again? And some ideas on how to accomplish that?
Yeah, so just to sort of recap, the looks like my video shut off. I'll try to turn it back on.
We can hear you, though.
Okay.
There you are.
I'll take that as a hint to keep it short, and I'll do my best to keep it short.
Oh, you're good.
The LA 100 study was more than just a goal. It was how do we get to that goal? And what it found is that, I mentioned earlier, it's a significant amount of large-scale wind and solar and geothermal and other resources, but it's a whole lot of local stuff. So how are we going to get there? We're going to continue partnerships like our partnership with the zoo. We're going to continue programs that we have already established. We have the country's largest feed-in tariff program, which again is where we buy solar power from our customers, primarily industrial and commercial customers. We recently brought to our board and the council a proposal to dramatically expand that, which was approved. So that is a big piece of that as well. And then to continue programs like rooftop solar programs and so on. But it really, and this was mentioned earlier, electric vehicles is a really, really big piece of that, because not only is that reducing local emissions and greenhouse gases, it's also helping to switch from customers paying for gas to paying for electricity. So that helps spread the cost of this clean energy transformation over more units. So it actually helps make this more affordable. So we could really spend all day kind of going into exactly how we'll get there. But again, it's about really large scale resources. It's about local partnerships and local resources. And something that I didn't mention on the slide, which was thankfully mentioned in that question, it's about energy efficiency and conservation as well. So there's a lot of tracks of getting there, and it's about going fast down all of them, especially since we're less than 15 years away from this target. And so we need to continue the progress and really accelerate it.
Thank you, Jason. I think it's really great that we put the pressure on ourselves. And you can do simple things. Tracy talked a lot about water conservation and water reclamation. Put an aerator on your sink. It's dirt cheap and it will save you so much on your water bill. When if you own a home or you own a building, or if you rent, talk to the person who owns the building about getting energy efficient windows and insulation. That can save so much. There are so many large and small things you can do. Plant a backyard garden. You can do so much. Do gray water. And you know, Angelenos by culture are at the forefront of all these things anyway. Los Angeles residents care deeply. We care about our environment. And so we can show the way for the rest of the country. And I'm very optimistic, especially hearing from Tracy and Denise and Jason today, our incredible partners. I can't thank you enough. And for anyone who has questions that didn't get answered, we will follow up on every last one of them that we get on Facebook. So please let my office be a resource to you. You can reach us at cd13.org, and you can call my office anytime. And we're here to serve you in the 13th District and answer any questions that anyone else has. So thank you again to our extraordinary panelists for joining me today. We're leading the way and making great progress toward a sustainable, carbon neutral future in our lifetimes and the next generation and the generation after that. I especially want to thank the crew here at the city's Channel 35 studios for making today possible. Please sign up for my weekly newsletter on cd13.com. I think I said org. It's cd13.com for information on our next Councilmember in Your Corner. We will be doing more virtual ones, but expect to see us out in the district in person in the coming months. Have a great summer. Please keep masking. Please get vaccinated. We'll all get better sooner, and the economy will recover much more quickly, and it'll put people back to work. And that'll benefit all of us. So let's be well, be healthy. Thank you so much, everyone, and may God bless.